it can be done from the inside out. When I look at it, what would you do? Divide and conquer. That's the most common tactic used amongst any and everything. You take the gun group, the gun people, the Second Amendment advocates, and you divide them into the different groups that they are. If you were an anti-gun administration, if you were an anti-gun ban all, how would you go about destroying the Second Amendment? This is the craziest thing in the world to think about, but just as a strategist and somebody who tries to think and put myself in other people's shoes per se, I always like to think from a different perspective. What is my opponent thinking? What is my opposition thinking? What's going through their mind? How would they do something to enforce or enact certain things on me that I don't want enacted on me, you know? So it's actually a healthy practice. A little unnerving, but it's healthy. If you wanted to destroy the Second Amendment, how would you go about it as an anti-gun ban all? For one, you could outright cause blanket gun bans by pushing through certain pieces of legislation on executive order. That's obviously what's been trying to be done by the current administration. But the problem with that is you now turn the American citizens on each other, or you turn them against you, or there's no one in the world that's really going to enforce that. No law enforcement, no military that's going to enforce something like that. Secondly, it can be done from the inside out. When I look at it, what would you do? Divide and conquer. That's the most common tactic used amongst any and everything. You take the gun group, the gun people, the Second Amendment advocates, and you divide them into the different groups that they are. Divide them into the hunters, divide them into the self-defense, the self-defense home defense team, then divide the other ones into what you would call a militia group. When you divide them up, what happens when you decide to give one section all the benefits, but you leave out the others? Would people vote for that? Would people go for that? Is it possible to disunify the American public who's into firearms, the Second Amendment advocates? Is it possible? What happens if I say, I'll take the militias, and I'll say, I want them on board, but I want to destroy the Second Amendment behind with the other hand? What if I gave them fully automatic weapons with no registrations at a way reduced cost than what they ever would? No more paperwork, no more standing in lines. Your local Home Depot or Menards is now going to carry fully automatic ARs and AKs, and you can buy them for an extremely reasonable price. No paper trails, no nothing necessary. Just be of age, pass a background check, and there you are. But if I'm going to give you this, and on top of that, we'll sweeten the deal by pumping into all our school systems mandatory firearms training and safety training for all the kids from elementary on up. That's an awesome thing. Now, in doing that, what would they Trojan horse with that on the side that would make the American people, or a large portion of Second Amendment advocates, say, we'll vote for that, we want it? What Trojan horse thing would they attach to that? What slick or secret thing on the side would they possibly push to get our interests off of stopping legislation and passing it through? Maybe it would sunset, and with the sunset involved in 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case is, it's an all-out outright gun ban or extreme registration or something stupid or crazy. I can't even make my mind think that way 100%. It's tough. I'm trying to get this through, but I can't get there because my mind doesn't work in those regards. But I'm trying. People, be patient. What if it's possible for me to divide up the Second Amendment groups in such a way that I've caused division? What if it was possible for me to cause a race war? Would that divide up the Second Amendment group? What if we say we're going to take Hispanics, right? And we're going to demonize Hispanics, and we're going to cause them to have race wars and race riots. We're going to turn black people on the police, or black people against whites, or whites against Hispanics, or we're going to push some propaganda to turn the economy or turn the general social side of the economy on itself. What happens when you get an extremely large gun group that no longer focuses on government tyranny and government rules in an outlandish, outgrowing government, and says, you know what? Black people are now the new objective of terrorism, and we want to now destroy that group because they're causing a social upheaval. What happens when we send militias in different groups to take out something like that? What if we say Hispanics are the new threat? You know, we're gonna actually arm up and say a group such as the NRA, one of the largest groups, which would never happen, I believe, would stand behind and say, we're not going to push forth an agenda to take out that group right there and advise everybody that that is the new terrorist threat that we're dealing with. We need to deal with it. That's going to divide up so many groups and so many people, you know? And even that is not a good enough example, but I'm just trying to give you something here. That's the craziest thing in the world to me, is that it's a possibility that we can be used and weaponized against ourselves. Unification is going to be the thing, no matter what and who you are in this firearms culture. Unification is going to be the key in surviving the upcoming times, you know, especially if we're talking about a Hillary Clinton in office, another Clinton regime, another Bush regime. You're going to have to deal with these things, you know. So here we are discussing things that shouldn't have to be discussed, but now we have to because the climate of politics is getting so thick and so corrupted. Let's see where we go from here. Let's deal with it.